Christus benedictat per Jesum Christum Dominum nostrum. Amen. Bless us, bless it. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ.
I know you probably articulated the main lines of this dream, but I'd be curious to hear from your own mouth. Must have been powerful.
Dream. Yeah, we'll talk about it if you wish.
Yeah, that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I think you already just the whole dynamic. Jacobi, who was someone who sort of tightened Jung up theoretically, right? She would, at a certain point, he would have her read her things and would almost accept criticism from her. But for her to just dismiss it, to then Emma Jung hearing the same thing, and everything I know about Emma Jung, I have the utmost respect. She was obviously had to have the patience of a saint to deal with with him and the situation. Didn't dismiss it.
Well, it's a fact that no analyst can assist a patient with anything that is past the consciousness of the analyst. So if you're picking out an analyst, you better choose somebody who's been over some of the path which is emerging in yourself as patient. Okay, here's the dream. I love that dream. And it had a sequel 35 years later. You have to hear that one too. I so much wanted Dr. Jung to hear the second one, but he was gone by that time. Okay, here's the dream. A Buddha is born every 1,000 years. And I watch while the first Buddha is born. And he's he's fathered by a shooting star, which is Buddha's story. And the Buddha was born in the middle of the night. I'm there watching. And I make friends with the Buddha and hang around for another 1,000 years till the next Buddha is born, or the same Buddha comes in his second incarnation. That's not clear. And I don't remember much about that incarnation. But birth is okay, and I wait around for another 1,000 years, see the third incarnation of the Buddha, and that goes well. He was born in the middle of the night, and the two preceding ones had also. And I'm waiting around for another 1,000 years. Can't be impatient with this process. And that brings me up to the night of the dream. That brings me up to present time. So I find out that the fourth appearance of the Buddha is going to be at sunrise. The others were at night. And the Buddha is going to be born out of the knothole of a dead tree. Okay. So I know where the tree is. And I go, and here's this old tree. And this sizable knothole up 20 or 30 feet high. And I'm standing there gawking, looking at this. And the sunrise comes, and just as the sun comes up, it clears the mountain, and the rays fall upon this knothole. Huge, big snake. just, it's 100 feet long and very big around. Comes shooting out of the knothole straight at me. And I'm so scared I fall over backwards. Get up on my feet and run like hell. Run until I think I've cleared the danger. Turn around and look. And the snake is right in back of me, keeping his head exactly over my head. And following every move. So I run twice as hard. Turn around and look. There's the snake, his head right above my head. He's big enough so that he can keep his head above my head without any trouble while he's running. Terminology is a little strange with this, but so then I understand that I can't get away from this snake. There's no way. So for some, I'd like to say reason, but it isn't, because it's not a reason. But I knew to make a circle of my right arm, like this. And the snake immediately, we're still running, lowers his head and pokes what he can of his head and flickering tongue and so forth through the circle I've made. And we're still running. So we start talking to each other, and the danger's over. End of dream. Well, I didn't know what to make of it. I can see now where Jung got a lot of his information and point of view. But still some of it, he told me things in that hour that I don't know how he knew. He was famous for that. He told me not to marry. Told me to get out of the school.
To me, that's incredible. I mean, the school is just starting.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you read Bear's account, on the one hand, he was against it, but on the other hand, he didn't stop. In fact, he wanted Jacoby, right? Jacoby to be the one, because she would get all the permits and I mean, I would say he was ambivalent about the school. I mean, because he's a powerful enough figure that if he wanted to stop it, he could have. And for right at the start, for him to tell you,
he didn't want to stop it, but he didn't want to give any impetus to it either.
Right.
And he said somewhere, I think I got it as gossip. He said he didn't want the school because it would whip up the mother complex and wreck the school, which is exactly what's happened. The school split 4 or 5 years ago into two halves. The split is so much like the split between Catholic and Protestant that it's funny. And the two sides don't speak with each other. And the institutes around the world, wherever they are splitting on the same issue.
what is the issue? We don't want to lose sight, though, of... Because that was just a parenthetical remark, that at the founding of the school, he already had the prescience to counsel you not to get involved in that, to find someone for, a one-on-one encounter.
Yeah.
So what else did he say about when he talked out at you?
He said over and over again, as if to drive it into a stupid idiot's head. He said, if you trust the unconscious, it will see you through. It will keep you safe. And he said that over and over again. He said, you'll get what you need. That's been true.
Did he I mean, these are probably stupid questions, but did he ask for any associations or any? He just zeroed in on the archetypical significance, and
he'd never seen me before. He knew I had trouble walking. Probably Mrs. Jung told him that, and he was curious about taking care of me. Was it okay to walk back from his house to the late steamer again? He was kind about things like that. He didn't give me any theory about the dream. I had to get that on my own later on. One of the biggest things that Jung has put forth is that we're at a point of evolution now in consciousness where that which would be represented by three, Trinitarian consciousness, is now being superseded by quaternarian consciousness, which is represented by four. And that's what the dream is about. There's three human Buddhas and undeveloped, very frightening one, a form of a serpent. I'll be right back. I learned and studied later that in the night of Buddha's enlightenment, the the world cobra, came up and spread its hood over Buddha to protect him, because all the demons in the whole universe had come to extinguish the enlightenment of Buddha. I thought, my God, there's my snake.
Is this a white cobra?
Yeah.
This is, and where is this from? This is incredible. Can I touch it?
Yeah.
This is,
I was years before I found a sculpture of that.
incredible. You seen this?
So slowly, I came to understand it. I was going through my own process of adding the fourth one to this Trinitarian psychology which I had been taught. And my snake was protecting me, not threatening me.
No, that's. The amazing thing is that Jung just basically, he just zeroed in on the archetypical.
Yeah.
And
well, when you know what you're doing, you can do that.
And every word of it rang true, I'm sure, for you.
Well, 35 years later, no serpents and not as much but me running. I think I ran for 35 years. I still think that's probably why I'm so tired. Trying to keep up with this serpent with its hood over my head, trying to protect me, which it does. And I understand that now. I understand that fate or Providence or my guardian angel or something or another has taken good care of me. That I would live this long and have enough money for breakfast for tomorrow. A highly unlikely thing, because I haven't done anything to fit or mold into the orthodox world of the collective world.
Well, you know, Robert, I did a Google search of Robert Johnson. You know what Google is?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the first things that come up are this. Apparently, you have a twin brother who's a musician.
Yeah, black man.
Who gets first billing on the internet.
Okay.
So you've got to go down below this.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually even on the first page.
Yeah.
And then they have these online reviews.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. There's like testimonial after testimonial about the effect, the positive effect, the healing effect that your books have had on people.
If somebody does understand, it's like a revelation. And lots of people just don't see what he's yapping about.
Well, these clearly aren't academics. I can say this.
Well, 35 years later, I pick up the second version of this dream. Nothing in between. And I've made lots of mistakes, and only half-heartedly followed some of Jung's advice, but when my half-hearted efforts got so badly into trouble, I quit and remember what he said. Okay, the second dream, 35 years later. I'm walking with a woman friend of mine on a beach, Southern California. Holiday, 4th of July or Labor Day or something like that. Crowded with people. People and bonfires and hot dogs and kids and swimsuits and my friend and I are talking about the strange phenomenon of American collectivity. And I see my snake coming.
So now you're awake. I mean, oh, this is the dream. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The way you tell it, it's like, I thought you were on the beach.
No, this is the dream, which is realer than real.
Of course, so you are on the beach.
Yeah, okay, get that straight. And nobody sees the dream except my woman friend and myself. And he's weaving his way around in between bonfires and hot dog tables and so forth. And he's not headed for me. I say, oh Lord, there's my snake. I haven't seen him for 35 years. And I hope he doesn't see me. But he heard what I said. If I hadn't said anything, I think probably he would have gone his way. But he turned around and headed straight for me. I had just time enough to say, just my luck, isn't it? I don't know a term for it, but if one made a movie of this and cut out a whole section and then patched it back together again, the dream was much in that form. Because I don't know what happened at the confrontation, but after the confrontation, instead of the snake, here is a young man, a kind of Christ-like figure, who was glowing. And we'd greet each other, embrace each other, start walking south on the beach, talking. I don't know what we were talking about, but as if we were catching up on what had happened since we last met. And we're talking about pointing out, well, here's a Muscle Beach. Isn't that something? Here are these guys making pyramids with each other or hanging by their feet from something, or three people piled up on each other's shoulders and show off things like that. We're having a good laugh at that. And then we go by a chess tournament that's going on, and then we go by something else. And finally, we wander out of the congested area on the beach right next to the ocean. And we get to a place where not very deep, but very broad river comes from inland and meets the sea. It's never much in depth, but it's like a mile or more broad. And that has been dammed up. You really couldn't see the other end of it very clearly. It was so far away. And the young man who was with me said, "All right, now here is your job." He said, the river is dammed, the dam is all set, and it's your job now to design the turbines and to build the turbines that will make enough energy to supply the deficit for the whole world. And he turns around and walks off. End of the dream.
So get the chronology. The Jung Institute started after Second World War, late 40s?
After World War II.
So, yeah, so...
I was with Jung in 1948 and 9.
Okay, so this is 35 years later. So you're with him 48? So this is like 1982 or 3, the second dream?
I've never tried to pin it down like that.
Well, I'm just trying to think in terms of your books. Because that's not a minor task you were assigned.
No. I still don't understand it. I can't attach that to my life, or I can't identify with it. I'm not producing any big power systems. You know what active imagination is? Well, I spent hundreds of hours on active imagination, on designing. I know enough about the engineering world so I can get things like that vaguely right. And building the turbines and getting the shaft correct and the generator up here and the wiring to take the power away and the excess of water flowing out here. I worked a long time, days, weeks, months designing the thing, and still more. Every day I worked on it. And I finally got a dozen generators going and functioning. And I thought, Lord, it's going to take me two lifetimes at least. And after the morning, so to speak, that I went to work, after the 12th one, I went down to see, and they were all in the entire length of the dam. That's as far as I got with the project. And I can't identify with it. I don't know what it means. I'm not doing any big thing. Anybody want dessert? There are two kinds. I can make a frozen peach smoothie, or I have ice cream a la Russe.